So guys, if your reps are struggling to convert leads, then the first thing that I would look at isn't necessarily their objection handling. It's actually how they sound in the first 10 seconds of the call, because truthfully, that's where a lot of deals are won and lost. So in this video, I'm going to give you guys two exact examples that we've used to train reps inside real teams, one that we use for outbound and then one that we use for inbound. And again, these aren't scripts that we've just made for YouTube. They're openers that we've actually, dialed in and deployed for our clients. But more importantly, I'm actually going to walk you guys through the why we structure those, openers the way that we do, and why most reps that we've listened to actually get it wrong. Again, one of the biggest gaps in underperforming call centers is tone control, right? Most people think it's the scripts, but it's actually tone, right? And this is something that we see all the time when we QA call for our clients. Reps will sometimes be rushing, or they'll very clearly be kind of reading from a script, and it makes them kind of sound like they're kind of interrupting the client's day rather than leading them through a conversation. And as you can imagine, or probably have even experienced yourselves, once the prospect picks up on that energy, that kind of unprofessional energy, the call's over, right? In most cases, they're going to mentally check out the call, and it's going to be over before it even begins. And one of these two things will happen most times. Sometimes the reps will be able to set those leads, but they more often than not actually don't show. Or even worse, at least for the rep, but this is actually better for the company, they just get completely shut down within the first few seconds of the call, and they never actually recover from that point, right? And when you actually listen back to these calls, it wasn't that there was a problem with the offer or the lead quality or anything like that. It was just simply the way that the rep came into the call, especially with those kind of really high level hot out inbound leads. So at least when we train reps, especially for rehash and low trust inbounds, let's say like a lead aggregator, we focus heavily on, those first few seconds. And it means that we're not just focused on the words, but we actually make sure we train the tempo and kind of how they communicate warmth on the phone, because we want them to kind of have a feeling of kind of that warm, nice presence in their voice when kind of the prospect picks up the phone, right? So in terms of the goal of that first 10 seconds, what you want to do is not be slick. You don't want to be kind of overly enthusiastic. All you need to do is, sound like someone that the lead actually wants to speak to. And with that, it takes a little bit of structure and kind of, again, the right tonality. So here's what we've used for reps that are calling age leads on a reactivation campaign. They'll say, "Hey Ben, this is Olivia from so-and-so company. We'd actually reached out about your windows a few months ago. Just curious, did you guys ever end up moving forward with that, or did life just kind of get in the way?" Right? So we structured it like that for a reason. The first is that it anchors the conversation in something that we spoke to them about in the past, right? Which ideally makes them think, okay, this maybe isn't like a cold sales pitch from someone I don't know. The second is that last line, "or did life get in the way?" It kind of softens the question and it gives the lead a safe way out, which in my experience has made it actually easier to get them to re-engage, right? There's no pressure. We're not looking to build urgency yet. Instead, we just want to kind of show curiosity and kind of set the tone where the lead kind of feels like they're being followed up on, not kind of hunted down and chased like, you kind of feel like with a lot of sales reps. Now, if you compare that to what we use on kind of high volume, high value inbound leads, where the leads kind of submitted their lead form and they're getting kind of 3 or 4 quotes very, very quickly, and oftentimes kind of feel like they're being bombarded by calls, you'll kind of hear the difference in what we say. So here's the exact script that we used for one of the reps that we trained. Again, they say, "Hi Ben, it's Pete from so-and-so company. My job is to make sure that your estimate, doesn't end up sounding like every other contractor that you've spoken to. I've got it down here that you're looking for a kitchen. Just wanted to confirm that I'm looking at the right project here," right? So here in this script, that's a lot different from the last one. It's about flipping the frame. So the rep doesn't want to sound like one of the many people that are calling to sell them something. We want to be positioned as someone a little bit different, right? And we do that by having a pattern interrupt. And what this wording does is it communicates status for us as a company without kind of saying it outright. And by ending the call with kind of a detailed confirmation, the rep quickly kind of grounds that call in something more real, right? That last part is very important because when you confirm the detail that the lead submitted, it kind of subconsciously tells them, "Oh, okay, yeah, this is actually the person that I want to be speaking to," and they actually looked at our information, right? Now, these are kind of small adjustments, but they do change a lot. And this is exactly why we don't run reactivation or inbound campaigns the same way for our clients, right? Instead, we want to ensure that we train the reps that are doing these calls in different ways to be able to win that first 10 seconds. And as mentioned, even though the scripts are important, the timing, the tone, all of that stuff comes into play. And if a rep doesn't hold that lead's attention, then it doesn't matter how good the offer is. It doesn't matter, how good your company is. You guys are going to naturally bleed appointments because people are going to hang up and just not be brought into the conversation. And these type of issues are exactly what we solve as a company, whether it's, rehash or overflow for inbound, maybe it's full campaign coverage. We have rep systems that are built to be able to work in the real world with real leads. So if that's something that, your team kind of needs help with, I encourage you to reach out to me via the website and we can kind of show you exactly how we can help you guys do this. And again, the many more things that we implement to be able to help you guys close more deals from the leads that you guys generate. But otherwise, if you found this video and these kind of 2 different openings valuable and something that you may want to implement in your company, feel free to follow the page as I'll be kind of breaking down things like this every single week.